Welcome to Bookworthy, where we talk about the heart behind the books your kids are reading. Today, we're talking with the lovely Kat Cronenberg. She is the author of the 4-book Live Big series. These include Dream Big, Love Big, and Think Big. And her latest addition to this series is Live Big with Catch In. All these books seek to help kids learn the life skills to help them be stars of their own story. Welcome to Bookworthy, Kat.
Yay! I'm so honored to be here, and I love that you do this whole series for books. So thank you.
It is a pleasure. I think we talked a little bit before we got started that your name came across my email. And I'm like, wait a minute, I know these books. And I remember reading them with my kids, and I went in a wild goose chase to find them. And apparently I've donated them to a library. So someone else is enjoying them right now.
Good. Well, I love that you've shared them with your children. There's nothing that makes me happier.
It is the joy of children's book writing for sure. Well, to get us started, we have to do our random question of the week. And This week is, what food do you love that a lot of people might find odd?
One of my favorites is probably coffee ice cream.
Coffee ice cream. That is an acquired taste for sure.
Yeah, I love coffee, and I even love at night coffee ice cream. So that is a favorite food group for sure.
That was a favorite of my grandmother's. And it was like the only place I would get coffee ice cream was her house. And it was just one of those like, I don't understand why this is, but it's ice cream. So we're going to eat it.
Yeah. And it tastes really good.
Too fun. Kat, I loved going to your website and finding out a little bit more about you and your books. But I think because your mission and your books are so intertwined, we're going to play this interview a little topsy-turvy for most of our listeners. And We're going to start with where your writing journey began.
Okay. I would say the best way to kind of quick bullseye where it began is I've had kind of a hard childhood where I didn't have life skills or direction on how to get through hard time, buried a brother, sister, blah, blah, blah. So how do you get through the hard times? And I fought and looked and tried a little bit of everything, and always secretly had the prayer is, how can I use my life story to help others? And literally at a symphony with my husband, I had my eyes closed. God, divine inspiration. It was definitely God for me, but that I got whacked over the head that, Kat, you were meant to write books about the power of a smile to help kids and people of all ages live their best life. It was kind of a bridge between the heartache and the joy of life. A U-shaped bridge is what I call it. So for me, it's the divine light of Christ. It's the cross, but a smile and a little bit of stardust can be anything for anybody.
I love that. And there's such a strong message of that hope and joy throughout your website, throughout your books. And you do keep it very broad and open to any audience. And I think that is, what draws people to your books is because we do have that desire for the divine in our hearts, no matter what we truly believe. But you have kind of a name to this, which comes out here in this newest book. Can you tell us a little bit about Catch Him?
Catch Him. So it's kind of crazy. These books have had a life of their own. I think they were already in the ethers and were in the world. And it took me a while to find him because he, in my first 3 books, is shown in the artwork and in the back matter and on my website. And there's a famous scientist, Carl Sagan, that says that we're all made of stardust, that we all have this little precious gift inside of us. So we've already stated it's, for me, the divine light of Christ, but it's kind of a fun scientific fact that I can share with anybody from any place. It's universal, and it's something I think we all know. We look up at a night sky and feel connected to each other and something bigger than us, that we all belong here. So Catch Him was in all 3 books and in the back matter. And then he kind of woke me up about a year ago and was like, I want my own story. So he woke me up at 4 for about a year, and he just came into the world August 26th. How Catch Him came to live in all of our hearts. So
I love that. And it's one of those kind of, when I started reading the book, it seemed a very big shift away from your African themes and great characters, but he really did take a life of his own. And then you kind of fall into the African Savannah that we've come to love in your books. Why was the African Savannah such a big part of your story creation?
That's a great question. Albert, I'm a big studier of people, especially people that have gone before me that I find wise and kind of heroes of their own story. And one was Albert Einstein. And he says, if you look deep into nature, you will understand everything better. And you kind of read through the Bible or just kind of look at research and history. Animals came before people. And so I think there are teachers. They've taught me a lot. And I think Africa is where animals started. So my boys and I started researching animals and had so much fun. So we use the real science of different animals. Like a flamingo is born white, then it turns gray before it turns pink. So it's in the story Dream Big, a baobab tree, one of the characters in Think Big can be thousands of years old and they're hollow on the inside. So we use that reality in the book Think Big of why he did that to do good in the world. Or Dung Beetle is one of my favorite, and he's a hero in Love Big. And then in my newest book, we did cheetah because kids have always said at all my school visits, I always ask kids what's one of their favorite animals, and they've said cheetah. So he finally made it in my fourth book.
It does seem like Katchen's journey is kind of coming full circle in this last little book. And you even got to take Katchen with you to Africa recently, didn't you?
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, you obviously follow social media. Yes,
Just
it
a
was
little
a
bit.
trip planned way before this book. So I had a real quandary. My publisher gave me the date. We were going to be out of town. I was like, do I switch it? Do I not? And I just said, family first. We're still going on the trip. I'll still keep the date. And then I got there and I was like, I have the best audience in the world of African animals. So I'm like showing all the animals my books. And it was an audience I was not expecting to have and could have had more fun watching animals in real time with my books, sitting in the little vehicles, having the time. It's a magic world, Africa is an animal. So it was very fun.
In the pictures on social media, it looked like you and your family were having a blast and that you kind of did get to see that wonder and magnificence. It gets lost in, the cityscape a little bit.
Yes, I forget really easy. So it's my books remind me, and getting to go again was just, yeah, felt very blessed.
Well, tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind writing these books. You talk about the symphony and God telling you to help make that bridge between hard and good, but kind of what pushed you past that ever present hurdle in writing to say
Yes.
yes.
Well, like I said, I was at a symphony, and it whacked me over the head. I wrote it down. I was probably 40 at the time, never met an author, knew nothing about writing a book, had never even considered writing a book. So I wrote it down, stuck it in a drawer, and really tried to ignore it. And so it just had, like I said, had a life and wanted to be in this world. I just think there's something about these stories, at least for my heart, that really speak to getting to your yes, to celebrating life and to living big and becoming the hero, the star of your story. So it just kept tapping me. And my kids were young. They're now 24 and 26, but they were young, pre-K and probably kindergarten at the time. So we would go to the library. I met my first author and she says, to write, you need to read. And I'm like, well, I can't really afford books. She's like, duh, go to the library. So we would go to the library and just get stacks and stacks of books. So books before, my kids saying, I like this, I don't like this works, this doesn't work. Those were my inspirations to kind of figuring out how to bring that's when we knew animals were going to be in it. After reading so many books, it had to be animals. Then we found Africa. So it was a stair step of inspiration.
I love how you did that with your family, that they were a part of that journey with you. Because I think even with my boys, it's been fun to watch them watch me struggle and persevere and keep trying and keep doing. And it's been fun to watch them explore this world of writing and publishing with me. And it's taught them a lot as much as it's taught me.
No, I think they live with us, so they have to invest, like, they're kind of on the roller coaster whether they want to be or not, and so it's been magic, and watching them having, because mine are older than yours, they are now chasing their dreams, so keep doing it because it's really fun. They expect the roller coaster because it's just part of it for any of
Yeah.
us, if we're honest, none of it's a straight line.
I think that's one of those lies that our culture feeds us is that you get to a certain point and it all goes smooth. And that's just not the way the world works. And I think teaching our kids at young ages that, we always have to keep working, we always have to keep learning, we always have to keep striving, not for something better, but to seek our purpose and where we're at and to be a light in wherever space we are.
Yes, very well said.
Well, what is your favorite book?
Of my books or of books in general?
Let's see. Good question. Make it topsy-turvy a little bit more. How about let's go big to what is your favorite book that's not your own, and then we'll find out about which one's your favorite.
But one that just came across my plate was, well, C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis is forever one of my favorites. All of his books and the Chronicles of Narnia, you just can't go wrong with. And with the animals, yeah. Yeah, there's just something about kind of, I call my stories mythological fables. I don't know exactly what he calls his, but uses fiction and animals and magical worlds, and it just speaks to you. It kinda lets you use your imagination in the story, and mine are kinda clear and concise, but there's some imagination that gets to feed in there, which I think is where a lot of power in these stories lie with kids, so he's one of my favorites forever.
Mine too. It's one of those we could all aspire to be a writer of such, I
Caliber.
don't know, caliber. Yes, that's the word for certain. Well, what is one of your favorite of your books?
Well, I was just recently asked that question, so that's why. And I told somebody that was interviewing me about it, I go, "Don't tell my other books, but this one's my favorite. Don't tell him." But I do because Ketchum kind of eluded me. Like, is he a smile? Is he God? Is he energy? Like people are like, well, who is Ketchum? Like, how do you define it? And so to actually feel it, write it, find it in an actual book for me has been really magical because he has so many layers and he's such a powerful force in my life. Like I sleep with my little Ketchum. I think he's so cute. You can't have a bad day with a little light and a happy smile close to your heart. So he's my favorite.
But it's really neat to see how you've watched Catchem throughout the book. So it's not just this one character that's just taking your heart. He's been with you the whole time,
For
kind of showing you that he was ready to shine. And I love that encouragement that that gives not just kids, but the parents reading them too.
Well, and then the hard thing to figure out, like on the side of each of my books, dream big, love big, think big are kind of secrets, 1, 2, 3. And it didn't turn out quite the way I wanted because it's bold and these are not bolded, but it's the infinity symbol. So it's supposed to be 0, 1, 2, 3. So he's the start and the finish. Does that make sense? And the number
Yes,
8 is
ma'am.
the infinity symbol. So you've read the book. You can kind of figure out when you read the story where the 8 comes in and the wonder that light and love always win. So, and create wonder in our life.
I love that. It was the infinity symbol is something me and my kids love to find and point out and talk about. And we had a fun conversation once of like, what is infinity times infinity or divided by, or like subtract? Like we were trying to like put
Got the
infinity in a math
bold.
equation. And it was just like, my husband thought one thing. I was like, no, infinity has no end, no matter, you can't subtract from it. You can't add to it. And it's just a fun concept to help kids understand the bigger world we're in.
Yeah, the scale of what love and light and all of it can really be. It's quite whoa.
Yes, trying to gather that all into one little symbol for certain. Now, Ketchum kind of goes on his own little journey in this story. He starts out really confused and a little worried before he discovers his spark. What made you want Ketchum to kind of go on that journey rather than starting with Starlight in the beginning?
Just 'cause life is hard. You know, life for me, the whole motivation for these books, I mean, it's kind of like when I do an adult keynote, I really talk about I was old enough. I was 14 when my brother passed away, or 15 when it actually happened. And I was old enough to know I didn't have the life skills and could watch my parents kind of shut down, but I had a whole life ahead of me. So it felt like when I talk about it, like being thrown into a dark room alone, scared of the dark. And so that's kind of how Ketchum starts out in the story. And in the world, like kind of at first there was darkness, then there was light in Genesis. So what was it like for that little light? There was nothing there, and we're better together. So it was just kind of fun to have him start alone and kind of feel the power inside himself and then want to share it. And, so it just was a fun way that I could really relate to my own journey and maybe help kids understand that no matter what, we've all kind of had that moment where we felt alone in the dark, even this beautiful bright star. So,
I love that that makes it very relatable to any kid, no matter their background, no matter what their life stage or life situation is, because we've all been in that place where things seem overwhelming and confusing and unknown. And Kesham's journey really kind of teaches, like, okay, I can decide how I
yeah.
handle this. I don't have to let these voices decide for me. And I think that that is such a powerful message to give young kids that you're doing with these books. How have you seen that impact kids in your school visits?
It's so fun. There's just nothing better to see a kid holding my book. One of my favorites was actually at a foster home, and they were going to just put me with the younger kids. And I said, well, let me try the older kids. This is actually when I first started out, and I hadn't really done much. And they're like, it's a picture book. It might be too young for them. And I'm like, let's just try. Like, it's just fun. And I'm telling you, I shared Dream Big, and this little 12-year-old girl was bawling, and I gave her a book, put her name in it. She's like, "You mean I can be a scientist?" Like, she had never even heard that she could chase her dreams, that she could do things, and that has stayed with me ever since. It's what keeps me motivated. It's just those kids kinda like me at 14 where I was dark and alone and didn't hear a lot of positive things, that it just to see, I mean, I could go into a dozen more stories of just, that little bit of light, that little bit of hope that we all need at different times. A book or whatever it is can give it to them. And for me to see my books actually give it to them is what it's all been about for me.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
little girl keeps me motivated.
That's sweet and a good reason to continue to work and aim to communicate these great messages to kiddos. Now, Kat, what can we expect next from you?
So I always think I'm done. I didn't expect this book, and it's already become clear I'm meant to write a workbook. Kind of, it's called a playbook, where you can kind of internalize and really consciously choose your yes and your light, and that bridge, that little smile every day to getting to your best life. So it's a playbook journal, and it's not clear yet if it's for kids or adults, or if it's more than one. You know, I can kinda see the kid one, but I really kinda want something that a mom or a teacher could sit with the kids, so we'll see. I mean, they have a life of their own, and I have to write them 100 different ways. I'm not that person that just sits down and writes one. I have to write it 100 different ways. So it's a journal/playbook, and it hasn't quite revealed if it's for kids, it's for everybody, or it's more than one. So
I love that you have that ability to cater it for a certain age group, but it definitely is a message that goes across all ages for all of us. Because no matter what stage of life we're in, we all need to be reminded that we have the power to choose joy and a smile. Well, Kat, where can people find out more about you and your books?
Yay! My website's always a good spot because there's tons of resources, which is my name, Kat with a K, Cronenberg with a name, katkronenberg.com. And there's a blog post that has 1 minute videos or a YouTube channel with 1 minute videos that we did during COVID that take you through all of the activities, how to build dream boards, Young Beetle's doo-doo game, what do you do with the doo-doo dilemma, animal fact sheets, how to write your own animal story based on the hero's journey, just all kinds of fun resources so these kids internalize this message. Or you can find it at any major bookstore, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target. So they're everywhere. But my YouTube, my social media is Kat.Cronenberg on Instagram. And that's a little bit of everything.
We'll make sure to have those links in the show notes so people can find you easily. Because I know I enjoyed going through your website myself and finding all the different resources and gifts you have for your audience for certain.
Yes. And catch them's on my website. And you can get a little Live Big Hero cape too from my website. And I always tell kids once they read all 4 books, they get to be the hero of their story. So they get the cape.
That's fun. And I know I have some kids that always take the chance to wear a cape.
Oh, yeah. We all need a cape every once in a while.
Gotta remember that, don't we? Well, Kat, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. What a joy to meet you. And I so appreciate what you're doing. Books matter. So thank you. Thank you.
It is my pleasure. And thank you for joining Kat and me on this episode of the Bookworthy podcast. Check the show notes for any books or links we discuss, and let us know in the comments what food you love that a lot of people might find odd. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review to discover more great books together. Happy reading!